Hello and welcome to the show. Here with us tonight we have the self-described Kung-fu Malcontent, Mr. Keith Smith.
Howdy.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks for coming on the show. This
Thanks for
does really
having me.
mean a lot to me. I know who you are. Other people might not be as in the know. Go ahead, tell us what you got going on.
Um, well, I think the thing people most know about me probably is working on Guitar Hero and Rock Band
Mm.
and being the singer guitarist for Anarchy Club. So we did all those songs in the game, a bunch of records for a lot of years, a few shows, and yeah. So that's the thing. That's the thing I get when people figure it out at bars. I get free drinks for that. So
Nice. Well deserved. I have said on occasion, and I will fight anyone that disagrees, that Rock Band 2 is easily one of the best games ever made.
yeah,
I will fight anybody that says otherwise. 'Cause I think
I'm
just for
inclined to agree with you. So
hmm?
I'm inclined to agree with you as well. So.
It's just, yeah, like that. I mean, all obviously rhythm games were really hot at the time, but I think Rock Band 2 just really perfected the formula of what
Right.
Guitar Hero and Rock Band 1 had done before.
It
And
hit stride is pretty much what happened. I
mm,
think that there's I could tell you infinite stories about inside harmonics during all of that, like from Guitar Hero before release up to the release of Rock Band 2,
mm,
but or even Rock Band 3 or other stuff after that. But it was I think there was a hitting stride thing there, and the company had was really cocky when Rock Band 1 came out,
yeah.
and we're too busy having rock star money to spend and getting caught up in that.
Yeah, that's
So
understandable. And also, it just got the market got really saturated. I mean, for only having like two real titles, Rock Band and Guitar
right.
Hero, they were both just putting out so much at the same time.
Oh yeah, that's a conversation right there, man.
Yeah.
That was like I mean, it's so obvious in hindsight too that Activision was like, screw them, we're gonna flood the market.
Right.
We're gonna make every penny we can off of this because it's not gonna last forever. So rather than let it be something that lasts 10 years or whatever, we're gonna milk it for as much as we can for the next 2 years or 3 years until it dies out. And yeah, so they set to that. And then with us, it became like this sort of like the ACDC game and different stuff like that. And
Mhm.
there was all these other things that people wanted to see, and we were more than happy to put them out there. But I kind of felt like that was I cautioned against that. I kind of was sort of like they should let Activision burn themselves out
Right.
and just stay humble. Humble is always the path in life, I've found. Like, you know what I mean? The
Mhm.
second you start thinking you're the shit, you're shitty.
Yeah.
Like that's
That's
kind of
that's when everything shows up to remind you to the
right,
con.
right. But but yeah, that happened quickly. Although let's put it this way too, though, when it's all said and done, there's still a strong underground following for Rock Band to this day. So
Yeah.
and Guitar Hero kind of faded out. So
Mhm.
there's that story. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think once Rock Band came out, I think it was pretty easily just the superior product.
oh yeah,
Even with like Guitar Hero 4, they added in, like they started to copy the gimmick, and it's
right.
just not the same. By then, Rock Band 2 had already come and gone, and yeah, as far as music and rhythm games go, like Rock Band 2 just ate everyone's lunch
Yeah.
because like it's got uh, aside from a few songs here and there, it's got the best soundtrack of the entire genre.
Oh,
Like
dude, I'd agree with that full heartedly.
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. All the way through all those games, I had favorite songs and bands I liked. But
Mhm.
Rock Band 2 for me was the one where I could just sit down and I was like, oh, they put all my favorite bands in a game, and this is awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, and just no matter what you play, it's going to be something good,
Right.
and it's just such a wide variety as well. And then you add in like the DLC stuff, and there's just not a whole lot left over for all the games that came after. They
Right.
start retreading ground and putting in, we'll do Ace of Spades again for the third or fourth time.
Yeah. which is funny too.
Yeah.
You know, Lemmy was like, "Urgh, but thanks for the check."
Uh, and yeah, so I think just none of the other games that came after really stacked up. And even to this day, like if you're at somebody's house or at a party or something and they break out Rock Band 2, like
Yeah,
I'm in. I'll be there all night until I get kicked out. Um, so yeah, you said you were working at Harmonix. What
right,
was
right,
your
right.
position?
Um,
Where were you at within all that?
I came in as just a tester.
Hmm.
Um, Initially they wanted to bring me in for this like remember the eye toy?
Oh, yeah.
They had a game called Anti-Grab or something like that before Guitar Hero had come out. And apparently I got hired for that, but I didn't know. No one sent me an email or anything. So then I was working at Irrational at the time
Hmm.
on the early phases of what would eventually become Bioshock and all that.
Oh, cool.
Dude, they made this amazing game that at this point I don't think they'll kill me, but they'd made this amazing horror game where you could and it never came out, but it was off the SWAT 4 engine,
Hmm.
and where people would you could get bit, your character could get bit, and then it was a multiplayer, and then no one else would know, and over time your
Hmm.
character would just become a zombie and turn on your friends,
Oh,
and you could
wow.
either like commit suicide and tell people and stuff, or just try to like play it off.
Man, hearing that now,
Yeah,
that's ahead of its time. That's the kind of game that's coming out now.
right, right, right. And this is, bear in mind, this is before Bioshock. This is
Oh,
before,
wow.
this is before all the Guitar Hero stuff happened
Hmm.
and everything. And I can throw that out there and feel confident that hopefully that Ken Levine doesn't want to kill me for talking about that. But anybody who knows Ken Levine knows he also has 10,000 fucking ideas. So like,
Yeah.
and if you work for him, he'll run through those in the span of a month. He'll be like, okay, this is the game. Okay, I saw this movie, and screw that. This is the game now. Okay, I read this book and saw this old anime, and this is what we're gonna do now. And he was just always like feed, which is wonderful. I mean, it sucked in some ways to have to
Hmm.
deal with that and change up all the time, but to watch him cram it all into a blender and come out with the stuff that he does is just phenomenal. But yeah, so I was working there, got hired, didn't know it at Harmonix, and then an artist, Scott Sinclair, left Irrational to go work at Harmonix.
Hmm.
And as soon as he got in there, he basically told them they'd be idiots to not hire me and
Oh,
brought
sick.
me over. And then yeah, then I started as QA, ended up becoming a team lead. I did a bunch of design work for a while,
Oh, cool.
and yeah, that was basically it. By the end, I was a assistant project lead. So and
Wow, very cool.
yeah, at one point I had a team of like 35 people, and
Okay, so yeah, you were like in the company.
yeah, 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 yeah,
All right.
yeah. I'm the
Nice.
reason, in Guitar Hero, Xavier Stone,
Hmm.
right? I came up with that name, and no one ever put it together, but it's his initials are XS,
Oh. Aha.
right?
As a
And
true rock star should.
right, and then another part of that was um they'd initially, and it was unintentional, but they lacked diversity when the game first was being made, and I kind of called them on that, and there were a bunch of meetings and stuff,
Hmm.
and so they added him, they added a couple of other things, they made that I forget her name, but the thin girl all in blue, they made her Japanese, and like
Hmm.
they did a couple of other things like that, but when they first made him, it was like this whole thing where he grew up with African and Egyptian rhythms and all this blah 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 blah.
Okay.
So when Guitar Hero 2 came out, Helen McWilliams and I,
Hmm.
um, we decide they let us rewrite his origin, and we were like, I'm tired of all these tropes for like black characters and stuff. So
Right.
we made him a trust fund brat. whose dad was like a Pulitzer Prize winning like Mensa genius. His mother was like a brain surgeon or something, and he just went around partying all the time. But he had a natural gift for guitar. And then what was Helen's line she used? He traded in country clubs for nightclubs, and basically and cast away the money so he could live the real rock and roll life. So we were kind of like, all right, and Alex Regopoulos loved that, and we went with
Mm.
it.
Yeah, it's certainly nice to see something different because, yeah, like you said, especially with, characters of color or
Oh
female
yeah,
characters, anybody that's not a white man,
yeah,
you
exactly.
only have like a stock
A
handful,
straight white guy,
a
even like,
straight white cis man,
you know.
which I mean, works out for me most of the time, but
Yeah.
not everybody is like me.
Right, right, right.
And I think, well, so I guess that's going to be our first big question of the night. How do you feel that media in general, but I guess video games specifically maybe
Yeah.
have how do you think that they've progressed in terms of diversity?
Um, I think there's exceptions to the rule and some great moments that shine out,
Hmm.
but I feel like in a lot of cases they've gone for diversity over inclusion.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? They create the character and then they go like, make them black or make it a girl. You know what I mean? Or something like
Right.
that. And but the character is pretty much still this cut out cardboard thing. And I mean, I feel bad because I'm brain freezing. Oh, what was that game that just is out now? Forsaken. Is
Oh,
that what
yeah,
it's called?
Forspoken?
Yeah, yeah, Forspoken. Yeah, that game's pretty cool. With some of the stuff that they do, it's still though you always see those things, right? Like,
Hmm.
actually, Horizon Zero Dawn is a great example of inclusion and making it real.
Okay.
I loved that game because she had no crushing traumas where she was this innocent girl and forced into this diverse adversity. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's the only game I've ever seen where she's leaving broken hearts at every port. There's actually like a scene where there's a dude who's like a king or something. And this is in the first game, and as she's leaving, he basically says the equivalent of "call me," like, and she's like, "Yeah, later, dude, whatever." But
Sorry, bro, I gotta go save the
yeah,
world.
exactly. I gotta go ride like electric fucking dinosaurs. But so that's a good example. I still think we see a lot of badass women become badass because of some trauma forced on them by men
Hmm.
thing, which is an endless trope.
Yeah.
Um, the characters of color more often than not, if they're brown to black, they came from the hood or something, or if they didn't, if they're on some special ops team, they're always like the cannon guy or the meat shield. It's always like that's the
Right.
shotgun guy. It's never
Yeah.
the sniper guy. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And
Yeah.
stuff like that. Um,
All
but
black guys are six
that's
foot seven and
right,
300
right, right,
pounds.
right. They're all Barrett.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's just a thing that you still see. But I kind of feel like, and something I appreciate is in some of the newer things you're seeing with character creators
Mhm.
that they're actually, as opposed to just making it this thing where you can skin it and it doesn't really change anything, it the games aesthetically make it vibe differently. You know what I mean? Like a great example of that, I would argue, and it's a game that people love to hate, but in my opinion, it's one of the greatest games I've ever played, and I've probably put over like 800 hours into it. Is Cyberpunk 2077,
Hmm.
right? Because and I think that does it because the creator of Cyberpunk is a black dude. So
Oh,
he and Mike Pondsmith, and he has been building that lore since the 80s. So you know what I mean.
right.
But when they're the way they handle race and sex in that game is pretty interesting. And when you create different characters, there are instances where people respond to you differently.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice to see. Even, diversity aside, it's
Yeah,
nice when something you do in the game actually makes a difference in the game,
right,
no matter how
right,
many times like BioWare or, whoever
right.
else says that all that your choices are gonna matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I could go on forever. We could do a 2 hour interview just about me nerding out about cyberpunk, honestly. But like some examples that just off the top of my head, there's love interests in it, right?
Mhm.
And some of them are straight and some of them are gay, and there's no switching it around. And it's
Right.
both genders. Like, you know what I mean? One of the biggest beefs with the angry incel crowd was that, in their opinion, this one character, Judy, is a lesbian, and they were all mad because their straight dude characters couldn't hook up with it.
Who
You
would
know?
have thought?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also nice to see because I feel like in these sort of things they usually just make everybody bi, which
Right, right, right.
like don't get me wrong, bi people need representation too,
Right,
but
right, right. But
not
that's just an easy cookie cutter thing to just make
yeah,
it like,
exactly. Like anybody can sex anybody else that they
right,
want.
right, right. And
So it,
if you're a straight guy and you hit on Judy, she kind of gets offended. It's
mm,
kind of awesome because if there's like a conversation tree, and if you're a woman, she flirts back, and if you're a guy, she's like, "Come on, dude, don't make this creepy." Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like cool stuff like that. So
nice. Yeah, I haven't played Cyberpunk yet. So I don't have anything that can run it.
right.
'Cause I don't think it came out
I
on.
just got a PS5. I played it on PS4 when it was mad busted,
Yeah.
and just looked through the flaws because I don't know. I've played Bethesda games before, so I know what broken games can look like,
Yeah.
and loved it. And then as they fixed it, I just loved it more and more. And they like Destiny is good for this. Borderlands is great for this too. With updates that don't necessarily do anything than fix bugs, they'll add more dialogue. They'll add weird things for people in the background to say and stuff like that. So you're still hearing
Mhm.
fresh, random conversations and things like that, or people saying things, or they'll put like a remix of a song on the radio that they had of a different song before and stuff like
Oh,
that.
that's cool.
So,
Yeah,
you
those
know,
are nice updates.
yeah, exactly.
Helps keep well, replayability, which I think
Right.
a lot of games now,
Yeah.
replayability is either completely forgotten or they think that if they just make it like a live service loot grind thing that counts
Right.
as replayability and kind of, but not really.
And what's funny about that too is that, um, like, I think of Destiny as a good example of this, right? I've loved Destiny from day one. I played it from the birth of the original loot cave
Mhm.
before the game was released and all that, and and it what saddens me is that they put so much effort into the PvP game and the raids to make, like, the raids in particular, to make them like ludicrously difficult, to the point that even the people who love to play raids don't play them until they can watch a video of pros beating it, so they know all the tricks that they have to do. And I'm kind of like, if you can't just run in and Leroy Jenkins it for like 80% of it, like,
Mhm.
maybe you're making it too hard,
Right.
especially when you look at the perspective. If you look at the actual percentages of players, the people who are like hardcore raiders are like less than 10% of the full gaming community for that game. And the people that play PvP are less than, like, it's in the same window. Like, so basically roughly 80% of their players are casuals to people who play a lot but don't play those two things because they're so
Right.
niche. And I kind of feel like that's, and combining that with ludicrous grinding kind of,
Mm.
I think, pushes people away. And I love the game and I always come back, but it gets to points where I just go, this is great and the story's awesome, but I need to take 2 months off because I'm tired of just like busting my ass, and then a new season comes and I'm just back at the beginning of like
Right.
whatever.
Never really get that time to like enjoy
Right.
your full
Just when you
power.
start to be like, I'm a god, all of a sudden it's like, sit down.
Right.
You know?
And I think there are ways to do that kind of thing. Like, I don't know how you feel about Dark Souls, but
Oh yeah.
um, I feel like the From Software games do a really good job of, you get stronger and you can tell that you're getting stronger, but the enemies get stronger as well. And it
Oh yeah.
feels, they do so in like an organic way though, so that it
Yeah.
feels like it makes sense. It's not just the same dude that you fought for the last 80 hours, but now he has 50% more health or whatever.
Right, right, right. That's it's funny you brought them up too, because I was one of those people. I hated all those games, right? And
Mhm.
then I played Bloodborne and loved it. And all my friends were like, "I don't get it. It's the same thing." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's different." Like,
Right.
and then when Elden Ring came out,
Mhm.
I'll send you the thing on Twitter or something so you can see the screenshot. I 100%ed that,
Damn.
right? And I dove in, and the difference is it's open world.
Mhm.
So you're not hitting any walls. And you can just throw yourself off cliffs and be like, all right, this is out of my depth. I'm going back to the place where I can slap everybody around for like 2 hours and then I'm going to try this again. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But yeah.
exactly.
And then the fact that you can beat that game and that they do this in the games, you can just keep looping back around and it just becomes more and more difficult. But they do it
Mhm.
in such a way where when you do the new game plus for the fourth time, you're still a badass. But you're just, and you understand your enemies, but they take less and less of your shit as time goes on, you
And they
know?
don't take a whole lot to start with.
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh, exactly. Especially like in the first time you encounter those giants in Elden Ring, you're just like, what? Like, you know?
I think Elden Ring, when everything is said and done, I think that Elden Ring is probably going to be up there next to Rock Band 2
Yeah,
as like one of those greatest of all time.
yeah,
Like because I really liked Dark Souls, I really liked Bloodborne, and then Elden Ring just took that and made it better.
yeah.
Open world, you get a designated jump button. Somehow, some way, they did it, and they made. I mean, if there can be a perfect game, it's got to be pretty close.
And the story's great, and the
Yeah.
lore is awesome, and it's kind of hilarious because and it's brilliant that they got George R. R. Martin in because he's shit at finishing stories. He's great at building worlds and shit at finishing stories. So they basically said, "Give us a mythology," and they took it and ran with it.
Mm.
And there's some characters in some of my favorite video game characters of all time, and yeah,
Oh,
it's on my top 5 list for sure.
yeah. Your mic got kind of bubbly.
Oh, sorry.
Ah, there we
I was
are.
moving the thing that could. Is it okay now?
Yeah, we're good now.
Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
I was moving the laptop a little bit. I might have touched it by accident. Sorry.
and
We haven't even talked about music. We've just been
ah,
super gaming.
yeah, I know. Well, that's kind of how I like the show to go. Less of an
Yeah,
interview and more of just a
nerding out.
guided conversation of sorts. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I was gonna talk about all the salt posts about Elden Ring from all
Yeah,
the like all the other developers, or not the developers themselves, but
yeah.
people within the developers' companies. Like, oh, but it doesn't have a story. It doesn't make any sense. You don't know what you're doing. 'Cause they're from like American developers making. We're making big open world games. Why don't you like our games like you like this one?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Exactly. And it's funny because Elden Ring has a great story,
mhm.
you know, and there's gravity to it. There's some of those bosses when you get there, you're just like, ooh, like, like you feel it in your soul, like,
Mhm.
whoa, this is heavy. It's been a while because I beat it like back then, like
Right.
and it got to a point where I just got obsessed, and thank ADHD, but I was just like, I looked and I was like 65% or something, and I
Mhm.
was like, I could 100% this, and if I do this, that's like a god tier achievement in
Yeah,
gaming.
absolutely. Put
So
that on your tombstone.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Like they should send you a ring for that.
And they should. From software, get on that.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's probably only I guarantee there's probably less than like 7% of the people who've played it have done that. If even that much, probably more like
Yeah.
3%.
It's
You
like
know?
that's a huge game, and there's just so much stuff.
Yeah,
And like even I don't know exactly what all it counts towards percents, but yeah, that's a big game.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, you're working at Harmonix. You worked on the Rock Band and Guitar
Guitar
Hero
Hero.
series,
Yeah,
which is well, your involvement with the games on a development side is one of the ways people know you, but also from you had a little band called
yeah,
Anarchy Club that was famously in most of them.
yeah. We're the only band that got voted into all the harmonics games at that point
Sick.
because we're in Guitar Hero 1, Guitar Hero 2, Rock Band 1, Rock Band 2, and then by RB3 it was all DLC and stuff. So
Right.
I mean, heck, we're even the menu music in RB2. So
Yeah, that's right.
so
Get Clean is on the menu,
yeah,
which I mean that's an achievement in itself. I mean
right, right, right,
you get to have your music in one of the best games ever, which is all about playing music. So
right. Yeah,
uh,
and to cover the gamut too, like to have Get Clean be a nightmare tier song, you know?
absolutely. So yeah, you're not even just in the game; you're like you are the game
Yeah, yeah.
at a certain point. So you're up there with Painkiller and
Yeah.
uh, what's that Testament song they've got in there?
Yeah.
And some of the others. Uh,
But yeah,
so well,
that was awesome and magical. And especially when we created Anarchy Club. Anarchy Club existed before I worked at Harmonix.
yeah,
But we were just a lab rat band. It was me and Adam.
mhm.
And we would just basically um meet up at his apartment, get our swerve on, and and write songs and record them. Like every honestly, this is no exaggeration. Every Anarchy Club song you've ever heard was typically written and then recorded within like 2 sessions. Like it was like we'd write it, we'd put down the basics, we'd come back and do the rest of it. Adam would mix it, and we'd release it.
Wow. And
And with once the games launched, our thing was we decided it's sort of like a an art experiment that we were never going to spend a penny on advertising. We
that
were
worked
never
out
going to
pretty well.
promote ourselves, and we were going to see how far we could go, and it took us pretty damn far. So
Yeah, I mean, as far as like smaller, like truly independent bands,
yeah,
not you got indie bands and you have indie bands.
right,
Uh, yeah, you did pretty well because I mean, you ended up on all
yeah.
all four of those rock band or the Guitar Hero Rock Band games. Um, man,
We've
yeah,
got
two
songs on
sessions.
Spotify with over 1 million plays. You know,
There
so
you go.
we still get quarterly checks that are actually. I mean, everybody knows Spotify kind of screws you with like 3/100ths of a penny per play or
Right.
whatever. But that said, we still get checks that are like a um a good weekend out or a cheap guitar every quarter. You know what I mean?
Nice,
So
not bad.
I'm not complaining. It always it's enough money that I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like quarterly, and this is years and years and years later. So
Mm.
I think it's funny. I've been in all these bands since I was a kid, and I'm like the most financially successful one is the one that played out less than 12 times, and we basically are sitting at our desks collecting checks randomly. Oh, it's worth noting too that we never got a penny from Harmonix
Hmm.
because there was like a clause in that
Mm.
basically said like the other bands who were in it got paid, but if you were a Harmonix band, you didn't get paid because they felt that it could be conflict
Conflict
of
of
interest.
interest.
So
That that
we never got paid. We didn't get percentages for sales or anything like that. All the money we got came from Spotify and from CD sales and merch sales and stuff.
right. Which I bought all of your CDs and one of the shirts,
Mm.
which
Well,
is
we'll talk later. I got a basement full of stuff if you want stuff. So
I always want stuff. But yeah, we'll
yeah,
talk about that later.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, two sessions like
Yeah.
per song in true punk rock fashion,
Right, right, right.
which is really impressive because a lot of those a lot of those songs have a lot of production on them.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. We would record it all and lay it down,
Hmm.
and then Adam is a surgeon, so he would just and he always understood the vision. That was like our thing, and why
Hmm.
I am grateful to call him one of my best friends, and why I'm grateful to have played music with him for so many years because it was one of those things where we were just always in sync. You know, if I had
Right.
only one regret over Anarchy Club, it would be that I kind of wish I had more time to marinate on the vocals
Hmm.
because all those vocals were kind of like proof of concept. And now I'll do it again, but this time with feeling, like you know what I mean. But it's like, by the time we're playing those songs out 2 years later, it sounds a lot better and different, and I'm emoting more because I've had a chance to absorb it and make it my own.
Right. Like you've had time to really grok the song and
Right, right, right,
know
right,
what's going on.
right.
Um, and for those not in the know, this is Adam Von Bueller, the other half of Anarchy Club, which again is also really impressive that it's just two guys.
Yeah,
Because there's a lot of noise on some of those songs,
yeah,
and you are vocals and rhythm guitar, correct?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then Adam is just
Right.
everything
Everything.
else.
Yeah. I would the drums and everything would be like pretty much him going, "Give me a beat," and I would say I would like beatbox out something or play something, and then he would transpose that into a rhythm, and we'd go from there. And then we would always have fun too. There's lots of like too many for me to even begin to recall them all, but almost every Anarchy Club song has some kind of inside joke on it or something, or some lyric directly pointed at a friend of ours, or some social commentary about something that's like making fun of something that was topical at the moment. Or like, here's a great one that no one ever thought about, right?
Mhm,
In Get Clean,
mhm.
people are like, there's something about that song that just like it just makes me move my ass, and it's just different, and it doesn't sound like other metal, right?
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's a reggaeton beat,
Mm,
and no one ever thought of it, but it's dun, 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 dun.
okay.
You know what I mean?
Huh. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it. That makes sense.
And it's hilarious because I would just tell people, yeah, it's because we get dope riffs, man, and we play behind the beat, everything's funky. But like that one was literally like we were like, let's write a song about it with a reggaeton beat, and then the subject matter just like came to me, and I just deeply immersed myself in
Mm,
that for that song because I was like, you don't write something about that lightly. You know
right.
what I mean?
That's not the kind of subject matter that you fuck around with.
Right, right, right.
Something like that, you really do have to take it serious, or it's not going to go over well.
Yeah, right. It's gonna go over like really badly.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious at one point because someone on some like pseudo social justice warrior online tried to say that we were Nazis and that song was pro-Nazi, and right, and then I was like, that's odd because he's Jewish and I'm black, so
That's
and if you actually listen to the lyrics, it's clearly not like so.
yeah, that's doesn't make any sense. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more about Anarchy Club with Mr. Keith Smith.
Excellent.